If you could change something in your life right now, what would you change? Your stress level at work, your direction in life, or maybe your weight or fitness level? This is not the first time you've thought about your answer, so what is keeping you from making the change? Have you considered that there is only one thing you need to do and everything else will fall in line and you will see all the changes take place? It sounds too simple, but that one thing you need to change is your thinking. Your thinking shapes the direction your life takes. Your thoughts become your words, which translate into your actions, which then forms your habits that develop your character, which dictates your destiny. Take time out on a regular basis to examine and even challenge your current way of thinking. You may find that in certain areas of your life, your thoughts have been out of focus, which has in turn blurred your vision of certain circumstances and events around you. This was certainly the case for me when I started my journey. I realized very early I had to shift from an old, outdated paradigm I had to a new one that helped me achieve my weight and health goals. What aspect of your thinking do you need to change to achieve your weight and health goals? Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Make Health Your Habit podcast live. A little bit earlier than normal, I know. 1 o'clock today. We're making it slightly bit early because of our guest, and there's been a time change in America. So hopefully I still have some of my regulars here with me today. But as always, good afternoon. My name is Ken Barnes. I am a certified health coach. I'm the creator of the Lean Mind Body Method, the simple science of getting lean, fit, and healthy. My focus is on reversing diabetes, helping people to lose weight. And I do that through, in essence, 3 methods: through whole food nutrition, through getting more sleep, and also behavioral psychology. So that's what I do, and I really love it. And I'm the author of that book you can see on the screen there. You can see the book. It says the Lean Mind Body Method. I am the author of that, and you can get that book if you go to my website, which is Ken M. Barnes. So, and this time I really do like to see who's with me. Hopefully some people are still with us and they haven't still thought the time was 2 o'clock. So if you're on either LinkedIn, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, anywhere, it would be great to be able to hear from you, for you to be able to say hello and just to see where you're calling from. Normally we have a number of people calling in from different parts of the world, and it's lovely to have an international show. It's lovely to be able to communicate with people across the world. And today I'm really excited about the guests we have. Dr. Megan's been on the show before, and I have to say the show was absolutely off the chain. What she doesn't know about gut health has not been written. So if you're having one of these issues around your gut and around your stomach and you would like some help, then this is the time for you. So we've had someone say hi. I have to say, if you're messaging me from my Facebook group, Make Health Your Habit, your name won't come up. So I don't know if that's Isaiah. Isaiah sometimes did it for last week, but whoever that is, hi Isaiah, if that is you. But so if you're messaging from the Facebook group, Make Health Your Habit, please put your name in your comment so I know who you are, because your name doesn't come up from that group. So it's great. So if that is you, as hello everybody. Hello on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube and you're being quiet at the moment. Hello on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook. Hello on Twitter if you're watching us on Twitter. And hello on LinkedIn. Yes, we are on all the platforms today, and I'm so excited. In England the weather is just overcast today, but hey, this is the early show. Just so you know, next week and we will be back to our normal time at 2 o'clock. And we have a absolutely phenomenal show. Zilla. Hello, Zilla. Pleased that you're here. Zilla is a regular listener. Welcome, Zilla. And Trudy. Hi, Trudy. Trudy has been listening before, so thank you very much for tuning in. We got a real great show today. Listen, guys, Zilla, Trudy, anyone, this is a question-orientated show. So if you have a question, I really want to put them in the message now, because we've had Dr. Megan on the show before, And we're going to hear a little bit about a story, but this is going to be a quick fire session. We're only going to be here for 1 hour, 1 hour, and that's it. So get your questions in now because we are going to answer them. So I just want to remind you, I'm going to remind you again, but for those of you who don't know, I want to remind you about a fantastic webinar that I am holding called Make Health Your Habit. Make Health Your Habit. Let me just, yes, Make Health Your Habit. Let me just remove there. It's called, no, it's not called Make Health Your Habit. The webinar's called Don't Blame the Butter for What the Bread Did. That's what the webinar's called. The show is called Make Health Your Habit. This is going to be a phenomenal webinar. And I've got some special guests. Listen, these are my guests inside. Let me move myself out of the way so you can see my guests. I've got Betty Butter. She's going to be on the show. I've got Brenda Bread. Brenda Bread's going to be on the show as well. I've also got Dante Yam. He looks a bit vexed, Dante. No, Dante Dumpling and Yardy Yam. It's gonna be absolutely fun. These characters have got so much to say. So if you would like to register for this webinar, go to kenmbarnes.com and you can register for this webinar. Anybody who registers for this webinar and also appears on the webinar will be up for a lottery to win an hour's consultation with me, which equals nearly about £97, and one of my books. So yeah, all you have to do for registering and showing up on the webinar, you will be put in a draw for over about £100 worth of goods. So I think that's worth it, don't you? I think that's absolutely worth it. So go to kenmbarnes.com and register for the webinar. All right. So hello to everyone who's been silent. You haven't said, but we want to get on with the show because we're only going to be here for an hour today. So we want to get on the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, it's that time. Sunday, 2 p.m. Make Health Your Habit podcast live. I just love that introduction. I just get so excited every time I hear that introduction. So again, welcome this Sunday afternoon, a little bit earlier than normal, to Make Health Your Habit podcast live with a phenomenal guest I have here who I absolutely adore. I mean, I call her an encyclopedia with a smile. So let me introduce you to our guest today, Dr. Megan. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Mr. Kid. How you doing?
Fantastic. Listen, it's such a pleasure that you've taken the time to come back on the show. I know you haven't been as well as you'd like to be, but you still want to be on the show and serve. We appreciate you. The last show was off the chain. I mean, I had so many great responses. And when we think it's so relevant because people are at home during the pandemic and they're eating in a way they wouldn't normally eat. So there are so many gut digestive issues. And the amazing thing that a lot of people don't even understand is how connected our gut is to the rest of our health. So we're going to go through some quick fire things today. But I really just want to give, for anybody who hasn't seen the show before, I just want to give you a very brief overview. Dr. Megan is a wonderful person. She shared with us last time her story of how she has had a stroke, how she's had lupus, and so many other, I mean, she's actually calling in because she's bedridden, she's paralyzed, but her story is so inspiring and she hasn't lost her zest for life at all. So I really admire her for that. So Dr. Megan, we're going to go straight into the show, but please just give a little quick introduction of yourself to the audience, please.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Megan. Originally, I'm from Paris, France, but we did move to the U.S. when I was little. And I always wanted to be a doctor. Thought I would go to traditional school, but basically I got over there and I did my interviews. and they laughed at me about me wanting to use herbs. And like he said, I was diagnosed with lupus prior to that, and I had healed myself somewhat doing natural programs. And so I didn't really care for their thought of, once you're sick, you're always sick. And I didn't think the medications were good for long term. Not that I'm against medications, but not for long term. And so that's how I got into naturopathic medicine. I kept Googling, saw the naturopathic.org, which is our national website for naturopathic doctors here in the US. And I was hooked and I went to naturopathic med school. It's the best thing I ever did, and I never regret that.
So, so Dr. McGinn, what is the difference between a naturopathic doctor and a normal ND? So you're an ND, and what's the difference between an ND and an MD?
Okay, so a medical doctor, typically, as far as the basic training, they're the same, guys. Both of them are still 4 year programs, past, post, you got to get what we call here your BS degree. So that's like your high school, then your university, and then the med school. So in that part, it's equal. It's still 4 years. We're still both going over anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, pharmacology. All that is the same. As far as the diagnosis and treatment, that's at the base the same. But where we start to differ is how we identify the body. Medical doctors typically specialize, meaning they go into, you're going to have a heart doctor, is a cardiologist, a lung doctor is a pulmonologist. They typically, yes, they have a GP, a general doctor, but in general, the way that they view the whole body is skewed. And for some reason, they tend to forget how the whole body should operate. Naturopathic doctors, we always view the body as a whole. So, meaning we don't separate psychiatric diseases from the gut, for example, or like the heart from the uterus. They all are still interrelated. So, we're much better at just seeing the body as a whole instead of separate parts. The second main difference is also our philosophies. In general, medical doctors do believe that once you're sick, you're always sick, especially if it's a hardcore illness. A cold or flu, yeah, they know you can get over that. None of them will tell you can heal from cancer, for example, okay, because they don't believe it. We have our six philosophies. The first one is the body, the healing power of nature. The body can heal itself, like it does when you get a paper cut. The second philosophy, though, is that you do have to discover the cause or causes, whether that's heavy metals, lack of sleep, off hormones, poor diet, too little water. Okay. The third principle is that you have to treat the whole person, even though they have a mental illness like schizophrenia. You can't ignore the rest of their body and only give them mental illness drugs. They have a heart, a lung, a brain. We have to support all of that. Fourth principle is standard in medicine to do no harm. So we don't want to make them worse than they already were, neither in the diagnosis or in the treatment, which is often the case in cancer. The treatments, the radiation, the chemotherapy, that's what kills the patient, not the cancer. Never the cancer, it's always the treatments. So we don't want to do that. The fifth principle is doctor as teacher. So nature has given us 9 laws of health. And when you break them, you will get a disease. It's not if, but when. And you have to keep all 9 of them. So again, we like to teach you how to get back into with nature's 9 health laws. So important is this topic to me that I wrote a book about it as well called Nature's 9 Health Laws. Break them and you get jail time. Dot, dot, dot. Stay out of jail and how to guide to heal your body naturally. The sixth principle is prevention. Again, in conventional medicine, doctors, what do they tell you if they can't figure out what's going on? To come back in 3 to 6 months when it's worse. I'll never tell you to come back in 3 to 6 months and wait for it to get worse. I don't want it to get worse. So even if I don't know what's happening right now, I'm going to give you methods to try to start healing the problem, supporting the body so it does not make get worse. We never want it to get worse. And honestly, those six principles is what dictates everything we do, in contrast to the medical doctors.
Yeah, that was so detailed. I love that. I am absolutely becoming a fan of well, I've always been into not naturopathic medicine because I don't use pharmacology, so I believe in whole food nutrition. So it's along the same route because unless it's absolutely imperative. So I love that. And so Here's the question, and I just want to say to anybody watching right now, this is your opportunity to get any question answered. So if you have any kind of gut health question, please just pull it in the message either on YouTube or on Facebook. We'll get to your questions right now. I do have a couple of questions, but if you have a question around your gut, because let's just remind everybody watching and Dr. Mecca how important gut health is. Just remind them how important gut health is.
Well, well, guys, remember, your gut is what is feeding the rest of your body. Literally, any food and beverages that you take in, that's what's feeding your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your reproductive organs. So if you're feeding it junk, how can you expect to be healthy? And as far as what illnesses you can get, obviously you can get GI symptoms and illnesses, burpee, bloating, gassy, anything else nasty like vomiting and diarrhea. But you can get non GI symptoms as well, and notably in the mind, because we call the gut the second brain. Why? Because they're so closely related. So, guys, I even know people that have had severe anxiety, that have had brain fog, and at worst, schizophrenia because they had a bad gut, not because those illnesses are really mental illnesses. To me, that's gut problems that then spill over into the mind. And so that's why your gut is very important. It feeds literally the rest of your body.
Okay, great. So I have a couple of questions, but we've had our first question come in from Facebook, and I don't have a name there, but the question is it possible to reverse IBS?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, IBS is actually one of the easy gut diseases to reverse. Yeah. So, what is IBS? It's irritable bowel syndrome for those of you that are not familiar. And so, people that have that typically may have symptoms such as abdominal pain, cramping, they may have diarrhea, they may have constipation, they may have alternating diarrhea and constipation, and just this general sense of dis-ease, like not feeling nice in their gut, right? So, absolutely, you can reverse that. What I typically suggest people to do, the first thing is to do a diet diary, which I have on my happy list. I think he has my link for that. So that you can write down not just what you ate, what times you ate it, what quantities you ate, like 1 cup of rice versus 2 cups of rice, homemade bread versus store-made bread. Okay, because we need to keep that detail. You also have a symptom column, so then you write down when you have all the symptoms, and then you can kind of track which foods are really irritating you. But to me, the best thing, better than that, would be to do the Dr. Carroll food intolerance eval, because again, that's going to tell you what foods that you can and cannot digest on a genetic level, which differs from the other food sensitivity tests that test for antibodies, things like IgG and IgE. And so, if you recall, an antibody is just like a mugshot to the police. Again, they can, here in the US, that's where I am. So they can rob a bank in California, which is all the way on the West Coast, but then they can still catch you in Florida, which is all the way on the East Coast. And why? Because of your mugshot. That's a way for them to identify you as a bad guy. Your body also identifies things that are bad guys with antibodies. But the problem is you can get false positives when you do that testing because the antibody status can change. 1 year can tell you not to eat carrots, and then in 2 years, yeah, go ahead and eat carrots because the antibody levels have gone down. That's why, like Dr. Carroll, does not use antibody testing. And that way, once you know based on your blood, not your blood type, but your blood's interaction, the electrical voltage changes between your blood and that food, that is definitive. So you only do that test once, and that's good for the rest of your life. Okay, so I would encourage you to do that as well. Not many doctors do that, to be honest. Not many, forget about medical doctors. Now, even naturopathic doctors, and I didn't even know about it myself because we did not learn about this in school. I did not learn about it myself until last year after my own strokes. So I do it and Dr. Blake does it. So again, if you are interested, let me know. The fact of the matter is I called that clinic the other day and asked them about how long would the samples have before they degrade. And they told me that because it is blood, that the samples never degrade because blood is like forever, right? So literally you can be anywhere in the world. So where Mr. Ken is in England, you can be in Africa, it doesn't matter. Because once you do the samples, you send it to me and it doesn't degrade. Otherwise, apart from that, as far as helping heal yourself from IBS, you can already start doing these home therapies that I suggest now. One of them is alternating hydrotherapy in the shower, 3 minutes hot, then 30 seconds all the way cold. And I just say focus on your abdomen. You could do the castor oil pack. You can do your, obviously, your positive affirmations about how I'm healing now because I'm making good choices, you know. And you can also do the e-stim machine over your abdomen. Obviously, exercising is going to help you. Please go outside in sunshine. The sun has a great power to strengthen your immune system and to heal your bowels. So, this is just a few things that you could do for the IBS, okay?
Thank you very much for that. And I actually reached out to the Dr. Carroll Institute and they emailed me and said that they have no practitioners in England, which is unfortunate.
Oh,
But
wow.
yes, they
I
actually
didn't
came and
know
said
that.
they have no. They actually contacted me and said they have no practitioners. So I'm going to do the food intolerance test, but I am going to do it through you. And at the end, you can give people some details of how if they want to do the Carol food intolerance test, because the more you speak about it, the more I believe that the ones here are not going to be as in depth as that. Let's just talk a little
Wow.
bit more about one more thing about the IBS. So, as an
Mhm.
elimination, and this is just general because I think that there are some specific reasons for IBS, but as an overall rule, what are some of the foods that can potentially irritate someone with IBS? Just as an overall, without being specific.
Right. I'd say in general, they might need to watch out for onions and garlic, even though I love those two foods because they're both very powerful anticoagulants. That means stops your blood from sticking together. And as you know, blood should not stick together, just the way two cars should not ever stick together, right? That's called a car accident. Okay, so think of it like that. I also like them because they're both very strongly antimicrobial, meaning fights viruses, bacteria, fungi, all of that, better than antibiotics, but in most cases. But again, they can be kind of irritant if your bowels are already irritated as well. I would say things like peppers, your red peppers, your green peppers, okay, those might be irritating as well. Even things like flaxseed or chia seeds, because again, sometimes those things can get stuck into what we call the hostra of the bowel, which are like little pouches, you know, and it can get stuck in there. So, and then even sometimes lentils. But I would say those are both biggest four categories. But to be honest, even when people have irritable bowel syndrome, just things that are high in fiber might originally irritate them. Things like dark green veggies like broccoli, spinach, kale, collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, just because while it's irritated, anything big and bulky that swims by might irritate it. So to be honest, anything could really irritate it at the beginning because it's just irritated. Kind of the way you are. If there's some guy just poking you in your shoulder, Mr. Kid, and you're like, stop poking me, and he won't do it, it irritates you right now. And doesn't he doesn't even have to poke you. Just the fact that he's sitting there annoys you, right? So it's kind of like that. So then in that case, your idea would be to try to heal it up a little bit first using demulcent herbs, things like slippery elm, marigold, chamomile. Just try to heal it a little bit first. I say stick with water and smoothies and maybe a few days of that, 3 to 4 days. And then after that, try to slowly reintroduce foods.
Absolutely. We're going to have a little conversation about herbs as well. Now, last week and even this week, I had a big focus on sugar and sugar addiction. And I really want to encourage you, if anybody's watching this right now live, put your questions in because we want to get this. This show is really about questions. Now, I had a number of rooms in Clubhouse, which is where we met for anybody who just wants to know. And all last week, I was focusing on sugar addiction and how sugar affects us. So, just speak to us how sugar and the consumption of sugar can affect our gut health, please.
Sure. And processed sugar is what we're talking about, okay, guys? I'm not talking about sugar that occurs naturally in fruit, which we do call fructose. The only time that sugar gives you an issue is maybe if you're a diabetic or have PCOS, metabolic syndrome, or some other blood sugar dysregulation illness. Normally, a fruit should not bother a person, unless, of course, you have that fruit as your intolerance with Dr. Kell. because they can. And then that made the little boy bedridden for years. But otherwise, usually, but what we're talking about here is processed sugar. Things like cupcakes and candy and soda and energy drinks, stuff like that. Okay. So one of the things it does is that it slows down your digestion, slows it down and just makes it work more slowly. Why? Because your body prefers sugar, just like you like sugar. The body does too. So basically, leave your other food to the side. If you ate some meat, for example, you like put that in the corner of your stomach and like, yeah, let's process this cupcake. And your other food is over there rotting. You understand? It's not getting digested, it's rotting, causing gas and bloating and all kinds of stuff, right? Okay, that's the first thing it does. The second thing it does is it can also cause brain fog, meaning you can be eating it. I can even give you my own example. I ate three cookies. The other is a long time, years ago. I was at some fair doing something, and I ate those cookies, and immediately, guys, my head just got real cloudy. It's like I could not put two and two together. He asked me what's two plus two, I tell you five. And I was just I actually had to get up and go for a walk, okay, and because it's just way overload. The third and the worst thing that it does is that it can slow down your immune system. And guys, remember, your immune system is your defense. So just like here in the US, we have the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and then the local police. They are defending us against, here in the US, against, let's say, the Mexicans and the Canadians, right? And anybody with a boat or plane. Okay. So that would be like, and it can be for hours, guys. For 4 to 6 hours, it can depress your immune system. So what does that mean? You can imagine that's like you telling telling your police wherever you live in the UK, wherever, you get 4 to 6 hours off. You're giving them the afternoon off. What does that mean? Your neighbor, any hillbilly on the street can come and beat you, kill you, steal your car, run off with your wife, anything, because there's nobody to call. So that's the absolute worst symptom with sugar.
I've just had a question about coconut sugar. Trudy's asked about coconut sugar. How does that affect you? She said, in essence, she said, is coconut sugar good for you?
I would say that no sugar amount bad, but I'd say just keep it very low. Obviously, the more natural sugars that you can use versus just regular table sugar would be better. So coconut sugar would be better than like your regular table sugar. What other kind of what's that big bamboo sugar? They've got that. Things like stevia, anything that agave, things that are more natural will be better. But at the end of the day, again, the idea here is just really to keep it minimal. And just as an example, your body will typically make anywhere from 4 to 8 grams of sugar daily to keep your body going, meaning your brain, your heart, your lungs, everything. 4 to 8. Guys, in your average soda, I said 4 to 8, right? Daily. In your average soda, there's probably about 25 grams of sugar. So that's at least 4 to 5 times the amount that your body is naturally making. Do you understand? This is why you can drink one soda is bad enough. If you drinking sodas all day, that's ridiculous. Use okay. Try to stay within that 8 grams, maybe 10 grams if you want to, of sugar, like table, even natural sugar, right? Just stay there so we don't have an excess, okay?
I think that's incredibly important, and that's why we're going to do the sugar smash game later on, just to show the sugar content of certain foods. So, looking forward to playing that game with you, and it's just an informative
Me
game. And
too.
and and truly, fructose. I mean, coconut has is made from sucrose, and it has fructose inside it. So, I would advise my clients to stay away from it. But hey, yeah, it's still sugar, as Dr. Megan just said there. But thank you very much for your question, Trudy. And again, encourage anybody watching the show, if you have a question, this is your opportunity to get it answered live by the gut doctor. Dr. Megan, the encyclopedia with a smile. Absolutely. So, Dr. Megan, I think one of the things that people suffer from a lot now, and people complain, and I know we spoke about it before, but I think it's important to go over, is this bloating feeling. And sometimes they have it after food, and sometimes they just have it after the day. And I've had a number of people come to me and say they want to lose weight, but they think, well, some of my weight is this bloating feeling that I'm having. Why is it people get this bloating, and what is it they can do?
Okay. The causes sometimes are usually two or three. It's not like it's everything in the world, you know? So usually if they have bloating, for one, they could be eating a food that their body is incapable of processing. Just like I told you, and that's why I usually recommend everyone to do the Carol food test. And remember, guys, it could be anything. Not anything really. It's about top 10 maybe things. So dairy is one of them. Eggs is another one. And one of my buddies, Dr. Blake, she has the eggs. She gets acne. She gets bloated. She gets constipated when she eats eggs. Okay. Meat can be another one. That's mine. Okay, I can't eat any kind of meat. What else? Um, Sugar can be one. Potato can be one. Grain can be another, and grain is rice or quinoa. And then even fruit, like I said. And as you know, Dr. Carroll's own son had the fruit, and he was bedridden, guys, for years. And when they removed that, then he healed. So again, you can't say, "Oh, I don't think it was a fruit." That does not make sense for him to be bedridden for years, and they remove it and he heals. That makes absolutely no sense. We know it's a fruit. Okay, even though we say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, that is true as long as you have the enzymes to digest it. Once you do not, that's not so. Besides the food intolerance, I would say if it's not that, then sometimes people are just low in digestive enzymes. Which ones are those, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. So those would be three. The first one is called amylase. That's first produced in your mouth because digestion really starts in the mouth. So as you're chewing, the amylase is released. That helps you break up your carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are things like bread, rice, pasta, fruit, veggies, even. That's what carbs are. Your second one would be lipases, which help you break up fats, lipids, things like cholesterol, oils, avocado, anything that has a high fat content, okay? And that would be produced in the pancreas. That comes later on the digestion. And then last one would be proteases. And those are proteins. Things like meat, dairy also has protein. So do nuts, okay, and soy. All those things are high in protein. Beans, those things are built breaking up there. When people lack digestive enzymes, a lot of times they will be bloated with whatever they eat. Why? Because you need the enzymes to break up carbs, lipids, and proteins. Everybody's eating all three of those groups. If you don't have the enzyme, no matter what you eat, will sit in your stomach. And again, if it's just sitting there, it's rotting, guys. It's not just hanging around. It's going to start rotting. Just like if you had a bicycle that got wet and you leave it outside, what's going to happen? It's going to rust. It's going to rust. It's going to rot. Same thing in the body. It's going to turn and give you problems.
So thank you very much for that. So would you had Junie asks, the question is how can she maintain a healthy gut? So maybe this leads to prebiotics and probiotics. Maybe you could speak to that. So she wants to know how she can maintain a healthy gut.
That's a very good question. First of all, again, I always recommend first thing to do the Carol food test. Guys, you cannot expect to stay healthy or regain your health if you've got a dirty gut. You understand? And the first thing you need to do is that Carol food test because you need to figure out what you're eating that you cannot digest. If you keep eating something that you can't digest, then it's going to build up and become poison in your body and cause a disease. Not if, but when. So that's the first thing. You will need to stop eat, figuratively drinking bleach 3 times a day, except with food, right? Because with bleach you react immediately, but with food you not it's still harming you though. So that's the first thing. The second thing, yes, I recommend probiotics. Those are your healthy bacteria, that will help with your immune system and with your digestion of food. I also recommend prebiotics. Prebiotics is the food for the probiotics. So if you were a probiotic, Mr. Ken, me giving you a sandwich, the sandwich would be the prebiotic. It's your food that helps you keep fed. We can't have our bacteria starving, right? Okay. Then I recommend if you can have meat, I love bone broth. I think that's excellent. A good quality bone broth as well. Another thing I like is B complex just for basic energy. I like glutamine just as to heal up the leaky gut if you have that. And also, I like fish oil as an anti inflammatory. Those are just the basic supplements. But again, for home therapies, I like um, castor oil cloth, alternating hydrotherapy, and skin brushing as well. Those are just three basic therapies you can do, as well as time outside in sunshine and in nature. Okay, deep breathing also, but just a few of the things that you could do for a healthy gut to maintain your gut.
Thank you very much. Just so we know about the probiotics, especially, they come in millions. What dosage? If someone's going to get some probiotic, what dosage and what should they look out for when they're buying a probiotic product?
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, typically the probiotics actually come in billions, and we typically recommend for a person to maintain their microbiome, their gut bacteria, 20 billion a day. That's 20 billion a day. So if you see on a supplement, it said, oh, 5 million of lactobacillus and five, if it don't say billion, you need to put that down. Okay, that's not strong enough. You have to take like the whole bottle just for your one day. A very quality supplement should have be in the billions already. Now, secondly, besides that, you also need to consider, have you used antibiotics? Because as you know, antibiotics are basically like a grenade. A grenade will blow up whatever's in that radius. You don't care that you pulled this pin. Oh, she pulled my pin. She's so nice. It'll blow you still up, right? So, and it'll blow up good guys and bad guys. Don't matter. And that's what antibiotics do. They blow up both the bad bacteria that made you sick in the first place, but also the good, your own bacteria. So that's why I don't really like use of antibiotics really ever, unless it's like a life threatening situation. Okay. Now, other than that, though, if you have taken antibiotics, you will need to take double the amount of probiotics, meaning not the 20 billion, more like maybe 40 billion. Not forever, but maybe a short time, like 3 to 4 days, because now you need to rapidly repopulate what you've already blown everybody up, right? Now, after that, as far as what to look for on the bottle, you want to kind of look for the different amount of species. For example, lactobacillus is one of the bacteria that's very popular, but also bifidobacteria. But as it turns out, lactobacillus is the more prevalent in the adult system. So obviously, if you're taking bacteria as an adult, you need to have more of the lactobacillus. However, bifidobacterium is more prevalent with children. So again, if you're trying to repopulate your child, they need to have more of that. There's also many other species that you could look.
Okay, so I'm not too sure what has happened there to Dr. Megan. I think we've lost Dr. Megan. Unfortunately, I'm just gonna be here, talk a little bit, and hopefully she'll be back soon. This is the first time we've had something like that happen. She had a connection. I'm not too sure if the battery on her phone had gone. So this is a definitely a unique situation. But I really hope the questions that she's been asking so far has been absolutely great. She is an awesome encyclopedia when it comes to education and understand about the gut health. So I suppose it just leads for me to be able to kind of pull on this show and continue. Let me see if she dials back in so we can get some more information on gut health today. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to play the Sugar Smash game. So I'm going to play the game and you guys can play that game along with me. And hopefully by that time, Dr. Megan will be able to dial back in and we'll get her back in the show. Is that okay? All right. So let's just move on to the Sugar Smash game today. All right. So you know how this works. You've been here before. So Dr. Megan spoke very eloquently about how sugar can disrupt your microbiome in your stomach, and it absolutely can. I mean, last week I was focusing a lot on sugar, and even this week I'm going to be again focused on. I'm actually putting together a course on sugar addiction, so if anybody's interested in that, that would be great. So there's a couple of questions we've got coming in here. Someone says, okay, well, I'll try and answer that question in a moment, because when it comes to sugar, I can help you with that. But let's play the Sugar Smash game. All right, let's continue. So, as you know, Dr. Megan spoke about the amount of sugar that's circulating in your body. She said around about 4 to 8 grams. So, in essence, by any one time, we have about 1 teaspoon worth of sugar, which is about 4 grams, about 4.2 grams circulating in our body at any one time. And you know, our insulin just works to get that out of our body, because too much sugar is actually toxic to our body. All right, and as I like to remind you, Sugar comes in so many forms. You can see the banana there, which is again a form of sugar, which is fructose. And again, I'm not saying for you to stop eating bananas, but if you have a carb intolerance, if you are a diabetic, there are some fruits that will affect you negatively, and you will have to reduce them. It's just the way it is. You can see the Coke. Coke is like liquid sugar. I mean, it is just so bad for you. And I think Dr. Megan spoke about that as well. And then we have bread. So bread, rice, and pasta, that turns to a form of sugar called glucose. All right, which raises your blood sugar level, which then leads to insulin and diabetes and so much. So yeah, some people can eat these foods and absolutely no problem. But some people eat these foods and look, they put on weight. And the irony is, oh, let me see. I think that is Dr. Megan coming back in here now. So let's see if we can get her back in here. So that's Dr. Megan there. How are you, Dr. Megan? You came back. You came back. Great stuff. I
I
told
don't know
David.
why you kicked
You
me
didn't
off.
know.
It's just
Ah,
like,
don't worry about it. It happens sometimes. So listen,
okay.
look. So had a couple of questions just come in. Oh, we've had one, which is the smell. The question is, why passing gas has to be so smelly. So please tell us why passing gas has to be so smelly, Dr. Megan.
That's what it. Well, to be honest, the smell that you're smelling, that's from the byproducts of your bacteria attempting to break down your food, right? So typically they'll produce methane gas, and that can usually smell not great. But actually, if your farts or fluffs, as I call it fluffing. If your farts are smelling like somebody dead inside of you, then that's a sign that your gut is not happy. Because I can tell you, like my dad, for instance, he has a great gut health. He's like poops 3 times a day. He only eats certain foods, very, very healthy. Right? He might fart and it'll be loud, right? It's super loud. But you're not going to smell anything. I mean, yeah, you hear it, but you can smell, I mean, nothing. So ideally, that's what it should be when you are farting. You can hear yourself farting, but it shouldn't be like you've killed flowers and bees and all kinds of stuff after you fart. Just should be like that. That is a sign that you need to get your gut together. You understand?
Okay, so that is the issue regarding the fart. Hope that answered your question. Um, Let me see. So someone said, "Thank you for answering the question." They said, "How they do the?" So someone's asked again. Junior has asked, "How does she do the food Carol test? How would that? How can that
Okay.
work in practice?"
Yes. So, Junie, that's a good question. As it turns out, like I said, I specifically called Dr. Z that does the analysis of it. I called his clinic the other day to ask them when do the samples degrade? Meaning, because for example, with the stool sample that I also do, and I think they probably do this in the UK, but I don't really know what the caliber is over there. So really, I don't like my patients to do stuff that I'm not familiar with because I don't know how to assess it. You understand? Might be okay, but maybe it's trash. So I usually prefer they do mine. But the problem with the stool sample is that they must have received the stool sample within 2 weeks of the first day that you pooped. So if you pooped on a Monday, they need to receive that by Monday, 2 weeks later. The Carroll test is thank God. With the Carroll test, they told me that because it's a blood sample, that it will not degrade. So literally, Junie, you can be in Zimbabwe and I can send you the kit and you can do it there. Now, as far as what the kit entails, it is a blood sample, meaning you will have to prick your finger. But I do send you 2 lancets and 2 filter papers. You only have to label the filter papers with your name, your birth date, and your date of birth. And then you only need a nickel size amount of blood. So here, I'm not asking you for tubes and tubes of blood, just a nickel size, okay? And then I even can send you, if you have your email or text message, I can send you photographs so you can see the one that the example is just how you do it without the sample on it. And then I even have Destiny. She didn't mind if I let everyone see how she did hers so that you can see, okay, the blood is at the top, her name is on the left, her date of birth is on the right, and then the actual date today is on the bottom. So that's easy. And again, as far as how much the test costs, the test is $299 US. Obviously, if you're somewhere else in the world, I would have to also add on how much it costs to ship it extra to you if there's an extra cost for shipping. because in the US, obviously, it's not really extra. But that's okay. It may just be another $5, $10. I don't anticipate it's going to be $1 zillion. And then otherwise, that price does also include the explanation from me. So by the time we get your results, whether it be again dairy, nuts, eggs, soy, potato, grain, meat, fruit, whatever the main thing. And remember, Junie, it not only tells you about the foods that you have to eliminate. Like for example, mine was meat, but also mine salt, which is your table salt, not the French Celtic salt or even the pink Himalayan, but the regular salt. That also I cannot have. But it will also tell you about combinations of food. So, for example, I cannot combine potato with grain. Grain, as you know, is rice or quinoa, but I cannot combine those two things within 6 hours because, again, I lack the enzyme. And so now, if you're interested in doing that test, you or anyone, y'all are welcome to send me an email through my website. My website is healthorganizers.net. Health Organizers,
Doctor, you know
plural.
what I was going to suggest,
Okay.
Doctor Megan. I think they can definitely do that, but I actually want to do the test myself, and I know maybe a couple of people. Maybe a way is if because obviously, if you could either send it direct to them, or maybe you could. Some people could coordinate through me, send it to me, and then I could send it out to them. I'm just trying to think what way might be best. So take a note of Dr. Megan's email. But also, if you're interested in getting the test, send me an email at ken@kenmbarnes.com, and let's see if we can get a batch of the tests over because the postage can be quite expensive. So if we do it in a batch, it may work out a lot cheaper in that way. So I'm just thinking off the cuff. So, but anyway, you give out your details at the end, all right? So we've had the passing gas. So hopefully that's been great for you, whoever asked that question. The cow food test. So someone said, would cutting down sugar and other sweet foods, including 0-calorie tests? Unfortunately, it looks like we've lost Dr. Megan again. I am definitely not sure why that is happening to her. That's never happened before. So someone's asked, would cutting down on sugar and other sweet foods, including 0-calorie drinks, reduce your sweet tooth? All right. I would say abstinence. I mean, I was having this big discussion all this week about sugar addiction. The thing about sugar addiction is sugar lights up your brain just like cocaine. I mean, studies have shown it is as addictive, if not more addictive than cocaine. If you look at a brain scan, someone's the brain center, the dopamine, how it's working, it's exactly the same. Now, the thing with sugar, it's moderation doesn't work. If you want to get rid of a sugar craving, it has to be through abstinence to remove it. Because even a little bit of sugar can trigger that sugar craving. Now, I mean, on my diet, on a ketogenic diet, I advocate what's called sugar alcohols: erythritol, monk fruit, xylitol, stevia, because these things don't raise your blood sugar. So I offer these to my clients, and I use them as well in my cooking. But the issue with that, if you have a sugar addiction, is that the sweet taste can again trigger your sugar addiction. So if you're trying to get off sugar, I would say to come off it absolutely completely. So we have Dr. Megan here again. Let me bring Dr. Megan back. How are you, Dr. Megan? Not sure what's happening, but you're back here again. Are you there? Can you see us, Dr. Megan? Hopefully Dr. Megan can see us here. I don't know what's happening. She's just having some issues with her connection. So I'll wait till she comes back. So that would be my advice when it comes to sugar. And I'm actually creating I have a whole program called Reset You, which deals with holistically sugar addiction. It can help you reverse diabetes. It can help you lose weight. But I'm actually doing a specific program just for sugar addiction because there are some acute things. So if you go to my website, kenmbarnes.com, you will see Reset You. It's a phenomenal program. Believe me, it's a detox program which can help you. As I said, it can help you with the sugar addiction, definitely lose weight and reverse diabetes or pre-diabetes, but specifically with sugar. So I'm actually doing that quite soon. So if you want to cut out sugar, I'd say abstinence. I've got a really great acronym about that I give regarding that as well, so I can share that with you as well. And another question asks about, is colon cleaning any good and how often? I mean, in the last show, Dr. Megan did talk about colonic irrigation, and she did advocate it. She said it is good that it is good. Okay, so let's see if we can get Dr. Megan back again. Let's see. Are you with us, Dr. Megan? Are you with us? Are you here? Let's see. Are you here? Are you with us, Dr. Megan? Dr. Megan still looks like she's not with us today, unfortunately. So I'll wait there. So where was I? I was just where was I? I was talking about. I can't remember what I was talking about. But yeah, I'm doing the program inside there. So yeah, Barbara said it's a great idea. And the colonic irrigation, that's what I was talking about. But the only thing with the colonic irrigation is every time you have a colonic, it does remove your flora. So some people advocate it. Some people say don't do it too often. I've had it 3-4 times. But obviously you must make sure you got to replenish your flora. And that's with the probiotics, which Dr. Megan was just talking about. And Mr. P says, I don't think so. Reducing sugar won't work. You need to get some sources. Okay, let's see if we can get Dr. Megan back. I love her commitment to try and come back. Are you with us, Dr. Megan? Can you hear us at all? Let me just see if you can hear, because you seem like you're on mute at the moment, Dr. Megan. You're here now.
I'm here. Sorry, I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. The demons are there. So I was trying to deal with a couple of questions. So it's fine. This show is live. And it's wonderful, and we still keep going. So Mr. P says that I don't think so. Reducing sugar won't work. I'm not understand. You need to get this to the source, not the treatments. Yes. Okay. So sugar cravings is a huge thing, and absolutely huge. All right. So we've had. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the sugar smash game, because you have to leave at 9. So I'm going to do the sugar smash game after you leave, because I think it's important to get some real conversation out. So if anybody has any last questions here, she has about 10 minutes. She's got a really important meeting to go to. If anyone's got any last questions, then please ask Dr. Megan about here. So because we're coming to the end, we go in a bit longer with you, but I know you've got an important meeting. So you spoke about a healthy gut. We spoke even last time we spoke. We had that poo conversation, which is, and I think it's important. Just very quickly this time, to remind people about how their poo is indicative of their gut health and their overall well-being.
Sure, that's a good thing. And so, guys, when you think about your poop, first of all, it should be well formed. So obviously it should not be too hard or too soft, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, in medicine, we have something called a Bristol stool chart. So you have a rating from 1 to 7, and that will tell you the consistencies of your poop. The number 1 would be very hard round pellets, like a log. That's like number 2. Hard is top of the scale, but very soft is the bottom of the scale. So a 7 would be like diarrhea. That's like peeing out of your butt. Okay. So we don't want those extremes. We really want it to be well formed. Secondly, the color is important as well. If it's like brown, darker brown, lighter browns are usually okay. Even a little bit green is okay, because you've probably eaten green veggies like spinach, kale, whatever. Okay. Colors like red, that's not good. Red means you're bleeding. If it's bright red blood, it might be a hemorrhoid. Usually people have hemorrhoids because they're straining, right? They're too constipated. So they break those little capillaries right there around your anus, and that'll make bright blood. Dark red blood is not good, because that usually indicates a bleed higher up in the GI, because as your blood, as it ages, it should go from bright red to dark red. So by the time, if it came higher up, got from light to dark, probably was a higher bleed, like maybe even in your esophagus. Black stool is also black, also usually means bleeding, but it can also mean like an iron supplement. Okay. Yellow stool is not good, because yellow usually means that you've had a problem with their urobilinogen, which is basically should be broken down in your stool. And if you're breaking it down properly, it should never be used. That usually means a liver problem. So those are the main colors of the stool, and what those colors represent.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. Now, earlier when you spoke about herbs, and herbs can be a great way. We can do the prebiotics and the probiotics, but you did mention herbs. Can you just talk a little bit, as we come to a close of this, about some herbs that people can use to be able to help with their gut health?
Sure, sure. Well, my 2 favorite herbs for the gut Well, the first one, really. My first is ginger. I love ginger because it's an antiemetic, meaning if you are nauseous and you feel like you might want to vomit, it will help your body process that. Now,
Yes, it looks like the demons have struck again with Dr. Megan. And I know there was another one that she was going to mention, but hopefully she'll come back. So, yeah, this is a unique situation, but I love it, the technology. So, Mr. P says he reducing sugar. There is an imbalance. Yes, absolutely. There are some cases when sugar craving is because you've got a mineral imbalance. Absolutely, but also sugar in cravings can be physiological, and psychological. So there are a number of reasons why people can have a sugar addiction. I was in a room and a conversation just recently about a young man who was given sugar as a reward, because as parents, a lot of parents give their children sugar as a reward, don't they? But they don't understand how that can induce a kind of a sugar addiction in later life. So there are so many reasons why people develop a sugar addiction. And in I think it's just going to be a very masterclass, a half day masterclass on that, and it's going to be ready very soon. You can go over the reasons, and we can definitely. So yeah, so rock on, Diva. So I hope she's able to come back. And ginger is definitely good for gut health. So let's just move on with the sugar smash game today. Again, because we spoke about sugar, and we need to understand that sugar. So let's look at this sugar smash here. Let's play this game. And I don't know if she's going to come back, because Dr. Megan, simply because she did have a um, a important meeting to go into, but I will get her email, and I will put her email in all of the platforms. So I'll put her contact details in Facebook. I'll put her and in YouTube. So if you want to contact her, then you can do. So are you ready, Mr. P? Are you ready? Okay, let's play Sugar Smash. Now the way turmeric is I've just had a quick. Turmeric is a fantastic herb. We've had a big discussion about turmeric even today. It's a wonderful herb for healing so many things, but I think particularly ginger is great, and these bitter herbs are really great for your stomach imbalance. But these are issues that I'm really just now beginning to understand through Dr. Megan. And yes, let's see if we can get her back possibly another time, a bit later on in the year, which has some better reception. All right, so let's play Sugar Smash. Okay, so these are the fruit today. Look, this is the fruit. Yes, well, you could not a fruit. The first one we're going to smash today is 100 grams of green bananas. Everybody loves green bananas. Well, I used to love green bananas. So there's three options. It's either there we have Dr. Megan coming back in. Let's see. This is definitely Dr. Megan. Are you there? Are you there? Because I want to see if you're there. Let's see if you're there. Okay, Dr. Megan. So tell me.
I'm here.
Don't worry. We're just going through things. So we'll talk for as long as you can do. We've gone back. So we've had a question. It says, which is better, turmeric or ginger?
They're both good. I would say that ginger is more easily assimilated by the body. Turmeric, unfortunately, unless it's the fermented kind, very few people are able to absorb it properly because just the chemical nature of it. Sometimes adding a little black pepper can help, but you don't want to add too much black pepper because that will irritate the stomach lining. It's piperine, is what they call it. So, what I suggest with turmeric, I do like this company called Organics, Organix. They actually have a very good product called, I think it's called turmeric, but it's a fermented turmeric, which allows it to break itself down a little bit more so that people can absorb it. But both of those things are excellent. Just ginger is easily absorbable compared to the turmeric, and if it's a good brand.
So you was going to mention another herb. I know you was going to mention at least one other herb, because you mentioned the ginger. What other herbs would you suggest would be good for the
Yes,
gut?
I like licorice because that's a very good healer of the liver. Plus, it's a driver herb, and ginger is too. And driver herbs make sure the herbs go to their affinity organs or the places the herbs like to hang out the most. So, just the way when you were a little kid, you might be found very often at grandma's house, right? Some herbs, like licorice, are more often found in the liver. Ginger is more often found in the heart and the stomach. Kotu kola in the brain. So again, a driver herb then drives those herbs to their affinity organs. The same way a bus driver, a limo driver, a taxi driver will take you where you want to go. So I like those two herbs for that. Now, licorice, you do have to be careful if you have high blood pressure, because if you do, sorry, that was an alarm for that board meeting. If you do, then you cannot take that because it produces a corticosteroid effect, meaning it will enhance or increase your blood pressure if you do have that. But if you don't have high blood pressure, that's a good one. I also like methylsulfur, and those I'd say are my top three GI herbs.
Can you tell me, when it comes to taking herbs, is it better to take it as a tincture, as a capsule, or to boil the herbs themselves, the actual root herbs themselves? Which is better?
Hmm. That's a good idea. And again, in medicine, there's no hard fast rule, right? So it really depends on the herb itself. Some herbs are better extracted with water, things like thyme, rosemary, and you can absolutely make a tea. Other herbs like burdock root and things like that, they will not come out with boiling or with water at all. So you have to do a tincture alcohol preparation with them. And other herbs are still better with supplements. So again, really you need to look at what effect you're trying to establish, what effect you want to kind of extract, and then pick the herb based on the best form. Sometimes not all herbs can be used in all forms, like I said. So, for example, if you want to make ginger tea, that's really good as or tea, right? If you again want to that probably needs to be the tincture. Some things like mustard, those might be better in a poultice and not taken ingested at all. So really just need to want to look at what effect you want to get. And then after that you can pick the best herb for that and the best preparation.
Yeah, I suppose because the tincture is so easy, isn't it? It's just a lot more easy to be able to apply on the tincture.
It's definitely easier to take a tincture, but again, not all herbs will be extracted with alcohol. So, if, like I've said, you may not be able to take a tincture
Okay.
depending on the herb. So that's why I say you need to look at what you want to do, pick the herbs based on the functions they need, then pick because each herb should tell you what's the best preparation. Is it tincture? Is it tea? Is it infusion? So once you decide what effect you want to bring out in your body, you can then go ahead and pick the core further elucidate what's the best preparation of those herbs because it should tell you in any good herb book how to prepare it.
But you know, you mentioned alcohol, and when you look at sometimes even on a tincture, you see alcohol free. If someone is going to buy a tincture, should they look out for alcohol free or ones with alcohol?
That would depend on the person's situation. If they are, for example, a recovering alcoholic or even a child, typically we don't like.
Yes, it definitely looks like the demons have struck again there. Okay, so we are gonna go to Sugar Smash, and it looks like Barbara and Mr. P is set up for a little battle today. So let's see how you guys are gonna get on. So let's do this now. So here we have the green banana. All right. Yes, we have the green banana. If she comes back home, Dr. Barbara will ask her about apple cider vinegar. You know what? We're easy show here. Come on. She gave some great information today and before, but it's just an internet connection. So, on this green banana, this first one here, are we going? Let's see. Barbara and Mr. P looks like they're really going to go for it. So, is it A, 5 teaspoons worth of sugar in it? B, 6 teaspoons, or C, 7 teaspoons. Now, do you remember? Each teaspoon equals about 4 grams. So we're saying in 100 grams of green banana, how many teaspoons of sugar? So you can say A, B, or C. You don't have to say 5, it's A. So if our first answer come in, someone says it's 5 teaspoons worth of sugar. So we've had the first one come in. I have to wait to see if Barbara and Mr. P give an answer here because they look like they're ready for each other today. So is it A, 5 teaspoons worth of sugar, B, 6 teaspoons, or C, 7 teaspoons? So we've had A and B. I remember my mum used to make some beautiful green banana and liver, you know, when she was alive. I used to love that green banana. So June said B. A couple of Facebook users. I don't know your name. If you're answering on the Make Health Your Habit Facebook group, because it doesn't show your name, just put your name with it so I can, so I can definitely reply. So Barbara, looks like Mr. P's kind of getting a bit scared. He's not answering today. So you're coming with C, so I'm going to count down from 5. Mr. P's come at the same as Barbara. Anyway, let's smash this and let's see how many teaspoons of sugar is in here. Whoa, look at that. And we have 5 teaspoons of sugar. So who said A? Whichever was one. Zilla, well done. Zilla said A. And Mr. P and Barbara. So let me first of all give to Zilla. And then let me say to Mr. P and Barbara, unfortunately, come on, you're going to have to do better, both of you. Definitely get it. And Paulette, well done, Paulette. Paulette Ward said B, so I'm going to give Paulette a round of applause. So let's move on to the next one. Absolutely. So this is chocho. Chocho is a phenomenal food. We use this a lot in low carb cooking. I mean, you could do so much with this. So that would give you a little bit of a clue there. So is it A, 0.5, B, 0.75, or C, 1 teaspoons? I remember this is what we used to put in soup. It doesn't have much of a taste, but you make soup with the chicken soup, the lamb soup, with the chocho. So we've had one answer come in A now, so it's half a teaspoon. So that's the first answer we've come in. Barbara and Mr. P, I'm looking for you to come in with the answer. Trudy's coming with A. Barbara's committed with B. And Mr. P has come in with cha. I don't know why. Is he telling me with attitude? Mr. P, is it you going to commit? Paulette said a B. Zilla has said an A. Lloyd has come in with A. June has come in with A. But Mr. P looks like he's, I don't know what he's up to today. But Mr. P, are you going to come with an answer today? Because I'm going to smash this chocho and see how much. A's been very popular, so I'm going to smash it. So at the end of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It looks like Mr. P has decided that he's not going to answer, but we're going to smash this chocho here and see how much. He's coming with A at the last minute. A at the last minute, and it is 7.5. Barbara, well done. Paulette, well done. Trudy, well done. Let me give you all a round of applause. And everybody who said A, including Mr. P. Yes, Mr. P, it's not looking good for you today. But Barbara, well done. You did well today. So, this is a wonderful food, and we use this a lot in low carb cooking. We even use the chocho to make apple pie and apple crumble. And, there are recipes in which you can use it to be able to do that. It's an incredible low carb food. So if you want to eat a reduced sugar content food, then chocho is definitely one of them. So this is the last one for today. And it's, who's complaining saying it's a fix on Facebook? Come on. Yeah. Anyway, this is the last one. This is butternut squash here. All right. And it's either A, 2 teaspoons, B, 3.5 teaspoons, or C, 4 teaspoons. This is the last one today. So this is the chance for Mr. P to redeem himself, or Barbara to pull ahead. So how is it A, B, or C? And as I said, this game is all about just raising your awareness, as Dr. Megan spoke about the sugar content of certain foods. Now, it doesn't mean you can't eat it, but it does mean if you have an issue with your blood sugar, there are certain foods you would have to reduce. Yes, not so much stay away from, depending on how bad, but you'd have to reduce it. So we've had C come in. Trudy's coming with a C, A. Paulette Ward's coming with a C. So we've had C and A coming so far with this one. It's actually a lovely looking fruit. It's a very, very, food. It's something, again, you can put into soup. My mum used to put that into soup along with the chocho. So Barbara's committed herself with A. So I'm just trying to wait to see if Mr. P is going to commit himself there. Zilla's committed herself with A. And Mr. P looks like he's moaning in the background there. Lloyd's coming with C. As I said, it's just an informative game. So I'm going to smash this here without Mr. P coming in and C. So we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are going to smash this food here. and we're going to see exactly how much sugar is coming with B, and the answer is 2 to A. Let me see. So where do we come here? It's 2 teaspoons of sugar. So that's A. So well done, Barbara. Well done, Zilla. Well done, Junie. Absolutely. I will give you, and Paulette, Zilla, and Mr. P. Yeah, Mr. P is not looking good for you this week. Barbara, well done. Yeah, that little face off between you and Mr. P. Definitely, this week you are the victor. So well done, Barbara. This is a personal one for Barbara and Mr. P. So as I said, shall we give up? As I say, this game is just something I do every single week, and I just show you free foods. So, and it just allows you to understand the sugar. And sometimes it's surprising because sugar's hidden in food. Sometimes the kind of food we eat, we don't realize how much sugar is inside it. And for some of us, it's absolutely fine. Yes, as Dr. Megan spoke about that, the enzyme amylase, some of us can break down that carbohydrate. Some of us have less amylase. It means not only do we have to watch the table sugar and the added sugar, but you also have to watch the sugar content of the food we eat. So this Sugar Smash game is all about bringing awareness to that fact of how much sugar content certain foods has. So we play this every single week. We have 3 different foods next week with us. So I just want to make you aware, my diet is all about a low carb ketogenic diet, which is about a reduced sugar. If you'd like to try some of the food that I eat, then go to my website, which is kenmbarnes.com, and go to the top and you'll see free meal plan. And in that free meal plan, you'll see some delicious recipes like garlic trout. You'll see curry salmon, a beautiful dish here. It's my own recipe. And you'll see jerk chicken. And it's a jerk chicken, low sugar. Well, there's no sugar in it, really. Very, very reduced sugar. Jerk chicken sauce. So if you're using that jerk chicken, remember you have to use a little bit more than you would use in the shop because there's no sugar inside it. But it's a beautiful, I made some yesterday, so I'm gonna make some jerk chicken. I buy the little legs and just use it in the air fryer, because if you're following me on Facebook, you know air fryer is my best friend at the moment. And in about 30 minutes the chicken's ready. So go to the website, download that free meal plan. It has full instructions. It even has the macronutrient content if you're counting your macros, and it has as a guide what to do with leftovers and the full shopping list of every single ingredient you need. So go to the website and download that. And again, I just want to remind you about this phenomenal webinar that I'm holding. It's going to be next week Sunday. So we're going to have a presentation at 2:00 as normal, and I'm going to tell you about that in a moment. And then in the evening we're going to have this webinar, Don't Blame the Butter for What the Bread Did. And I'm going to have these special guests, which is Betty Butter, Brenda Bed, Yardi Yam, and Dante W. And they're just going to help me illustrate the message of the story. So it's not going to be on this open platform. So I would encourage you to go to Ken M. Barnes and register. Just go to Ken M. Barnes and you'll see it, and just register for the website, the webinar. And everybody who registers will have an opportunity to win a couple of things. One is an hour's 45 minutes consultation with me, and you'll get a copy of my book, The Lean Mind Body Method, which those prizes are worth over £100. So you have to do 2 things. You have to register for the webinar, and you have to attend the webinar, because I'll be drawing the draw on the webinar. And if you're on the webinar, then you will qualify for that. So go to kenmbarnes.com and register for that webinar. I'm really looking forward to that webinar next week. So that's 8 p.m. on the 28th of March. So that's going to be next week. So Lloyd has asked a couple of questions. So I think Mr. P's a bit back. So Lloyd has said, as a Facebook, what do you use the air fryer? Well, I use the air fryer for so much. I mean, I've used it for fish. I've used it for some sweet potato fries. I mean, it's just phenomenal. It's my best friend. I actually love it. It's a great way. And yeah, Paulette, thank you for the informative podcast. Thank you for listening, Paulette, every single week. Great. And Junie said she just got an air fryer. and Mr. P's talking about yada yam. Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So next week the show is going to be phenomenal. You really don't want to miss next week. So next week the topic is called toxic beauty, and we're gonna have Gloria Hallam, who was back, who was with us last week, but we're gonna also have an educated young lady called Victoria with us, who's gonna be going through some of the toxins in our skincare, in our deodorant, the things we put on our face, the things we put in our mouth. I will tell you, this is going to be so enlightening next week. You do not want to miss the show next week. It's called Toxic Beauty. Are some of our skincare products making us sick? It's going to be a really informative show, I believe. We held the room on Clubhouse around this, and it was off the chain. So I decided I wanted to bring it back onto this platform here to share with you guys. So I really wanted to put that in your diary. Next week the show will be back on at 2 o'clock. We did it at 1 o'clock specifically for Dr. Megan. It will be at 2 o'clock next week. If you're watching this on YouTube, just like this video, and also share this video and subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to the channel because you'll be notified. We have so much happening. I've got so much planned over the year. I mean, a lot's going on in the background. And I really appreciate the regular listeners who are with us every single week. And hopefully you benefit. And if you're on Clubhouse, which is a great platform, please find myself, Ken Barnes, or the club, which is called, just like the podcast, Make Health Your Habit. So if you're on Clubhouse, just search for Make Health Your Habit. Or if you want to find out about all the activities we're doing on Clubhouse, you can go to makehealthyourhabit.club. Makehealthyourhabit.club, and it has a full listings of our rooms that we're going to do, because Make Health Your Habit is a holistic thing. We have a Facebook group. If you want to join our Facebook group, just go to Facebook and search Make Health Your Habit, and you can join our Facebook group. You can join us on Clubhouse. You can join us here. So, because that's what we're about, help people to make health a habit. It looks like Barbara's calling in from Jamaica, so that's absolutely wonderful. So look, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the show today. I hope the interaction from the Dr. Megan was still useful for you. Again, as I said, I will post on Facebook or any of the places where this is shown. I will post Dr. Megan's details where you can reach out to her. If you're interested in doing the food intolerance test, because I'm definitely going to do it. If you'd like to contact me, maybe it might be easier if we got it all over in one go and then shipped it. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a spontaneous thought, but I'm definitely going to do the food intolerance test. I really, really want to be able to, see if I'm intolerant to any kind of foods. So I'll put her details. Reach out to her. She's a phenomenal person. Gives so much every single time. And even this morning she wasn't well, but she came on the show. All right. So the brand of air fryer, I think it's Corsa, the brand of air fryer. I think that's the brand I have. That's the last question. So listen, the webinar, the 28th, I have a program called Reset You, and I'm going to have a sugar addiction masterclass, which is going to be about half a day. You can get involved in, and so much. I'm just excited about what's going to happen, really, about in the ways I can help people make the health a habit, not just physically, but mentally as well, because, I'm a mindset coach. I'll be focusing a lot on, the mind and the way the mindset works. All right. So listen, have a great Sunday. Whatever you do, whatever you do on this Sunday, enjoy it. Be with family. Make sure you laugh. Make sure you smile. And check in with some people. We're in some perilous times. If you haven't heard from anybody for a while, send them a text. Pick up the phone and just say hello. But as I like to always say, there are so many habits that you can develop. But I truly believe, let me first of all say thank you very much, Dr. Megan, for your time on the show today. We really, really, really do appreciate you. Absolutely. But listen, there are so many habits you could develop. But the best habit I believe you should develop is to make health your habit. Guys, Bye for now, and I'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening to the Make Health Your Habit podcast live show. Remember, the views and opinions expressed during the show represent those of our guest and host alone. We hope you enjoyed the show.